We just saw Pixar's Elio and we're torn.
The story goes deep, but it might not land for every fan.
It's heartwarming, but I don't think it's Pixar's best.
Let's go home and review it all.
Hello everyone, we're home. I think we've got our heads together on Elio. Well, not our heads together, but I think we've processed through Elio.
We talked about a little bit more than we normally do after we see a movie before we record a review. And I'm still not sure where I land, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so let's just get started on talking about the movie. So here is the write-up for Elio, which is Pixar's newest movie that just came out today. Elio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with alien life forms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he is truly meant to be. Now that sounds great.
That's a good write-up for a movie.
Yeah, so this, there are some voices in here that you'll recognize. Brad Garrett is a voice. Jamil is a voice. Zoe Saldana is a voice. Brendan Hunt, and I looked all these up after because I really couldn't. I knew Zoe, but I didn't really know anyone else.
That's why that one character kept going, "Hey, baby."
That would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
It was close. It was definitely
you
close
could tell
enough.
it was Brendan Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the fact, yeah. Let's see. So Elio is a boy who, we're gonna have some spoilers here, but
yeah.
Here, and when we get to the actual spoilers, I will tell you that is the spoiler section.
Yeah,
but
there's no way to talk about it without spoiling a few things.
To tell you the story, Elio is a boy who's lost his parents. He's living with his aunt. He is interested in space, and he gets this idea that he would be happier living with aliens. He wants aliens to come and abduct him. He feels very alone on planet Earth. Doesn't have any friends, obviously is missing his parents, and so he wants to be abducted, and that's kind of the start of the movie, is to try and figure out how he could possibly be abducted by aliens.
Actively pursuing getting abducted.
Yes. Yeah, so that's kind of the crux of the movie. So let's get into the highlight reel, talk about what we like.
Okay, so I'm still having a hard time figuring out what I liked about it. I liked the movie, I did. Visually, it's a Pixar movie, right? So it's got great colors, it's got great animation, lots of action and that sort of thing. It has heart. Like you said to me, every Pixar movie is not
Kind
the
of
same,
but not the same, yeah.
They follow kind of a formula. I mean, they've kind of been doing what works for a while now, and this worked, but not as well as other movies. So
Yeah, we're doing the stuff we like.
I know. So, yeah, visually and aesthetically and music-wise, I really liked it.
Okay. I really liked the character Elio. I could relate to him. I understood what he was going through. I liked him as the main character, and I liked seeing him find who he was among the aliens. Spoiler alert, he does get to be with aliens. You can see that in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler. But I like the animation, the colors out in space, and what they came up with to have all the different aliens look like. Really clever, a lot of fun to watch all of that and see all of that. Good music. They had some good music in there. Liked that. And the space part of it. So Carl Sagan narrates a bunch of them. They have his voice in this.
Yeah.
They're actually talking about the record that was sent on the Voyager to, talk to other life forms whenever it was found. So it's somewhat based on truth, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's going to intrigue a lot of kids. If their parents are like, that's real.
I would think so, yeah.
I think that could be a really cool thing to bring
plausible
kids.
to a point.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you think's out there. So there's a lot of positives.
There are, and I'm sorry, I'd hate to interrupt you, but I just realized, I think what my problem is with it, and it's something you just said. You related to it.
We're not talking about the problems, though.
I understand, but I want to
Okay.
get this out before I forget.
Okay.
You related to it because you understand that sense of alone and that sort of thing. And I think my problem was I had a hard time relating to it. Because I never
Why
really...
would any kid want to go live amongst aliens instead of staying home?
Well, I mean, you think about it, but yeah, I'm a homebody now. I've always been a homebody. I've always wanted to be home, wherever. And I never had that as a kid where I wanted to get away or be away or I felt alone or that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I think that's because I struggled when we first talked about this, I struggled to put into words how I was feeling about it. And I think that's it. I had
Interesting.
subconsciously a hard time relating to it.
Okay.
So I
That
think,
makes sense, and I think a lot of people will, so that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. So then let's just take that and go ahead and talk about the weak spots we felt in the movie.
I had a hard time relating to it. As we just discovered it together. The weak spots were so the premise of the movie is cool and it was a good plot and everything, but the actual screenplay got a little muddled for me about 3/4 of the way through, and I didn't care for something at the end.
Okay, well, the weak spots for me, the same thing. The story, as much as I liked Elio's story, they put this thing in the middle so here's another thing. We thought there was a lot of similarities to other Pixar films, and we were having trouble kind of coming up with them. Mm-hmm. Here's where I'm going to get some spoilers in. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers about Elio, then fast forward to the next segment. One is they have this computer, this liquid computer in space. It looks exactly like 23 from Soul.
Yeah, yes.
That was weird. The ending, and here's a big spoiler, when they're rushing, so Elio does make a friend. You see that in the trailer. And they have to rush him somewhere in a spaceship so that he'll get better. Just like the end of WALL-E. Mm-hmm. The middle part, I just figured out, which you didn't see, so you might not think so, but the middle part feels very much like Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear. Lightyear. It feels very much like that movie in the middle. The whole, wow, now that I'm seeing it, like they even kind of look the same. So it's interesting. Now, is that a problem? Probably not for all the kids that love all those other movies.
Right.
But for us, and as much as we love Pixar way more than most Disney animated movies. As a Pixar movie, this didn't hold up to most Pixar's. Now, I'm used to leaving a Pixar movie. I've bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
I've just been ripped open. My soul has been looked at. And then it's like, and this one, while I cried, I had a tear I had to dab once. It got me. But I'll tell you, I did not agree with the ending. Yeah. And that's a whole nother spoiler unit we're going to get to.
With the way the movie started, I thought we were headed for some real emotional trouble.
Right.
But it turns out that was almost a low point.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna talk now about a couple things that I really, really loved. And then I'm going to get to a big spoiler and what I really didn't like.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. There were 2 lines in this movie that really touched me that I thought were just really fantastic.
Yeah.
One is an alien father and son, and he had been trying to groom his son to be this warmonger, war machine type person. Mm-hmm. And the son finally says, "I don't want to do that." The father just looked at him and said, "I may not always understand you, but I love you." That's a great line.
Yes.
I think that's great for children to hear and to expect from their parents.
Yeah, absolutely. It fit at that point in the movie. It was perfect. It was beautiful.
Great. Yeah.
And it's one of those things you come to expect from a Pixar movie where at some point along the way, there's going to be a message or two that are just really resonate.
Absolutely. Then the second one was as Elio was leaving, one of the aliens said something to him, and I'm totally paraphrasing with this one, was something about how unique he is and how unique can often be mistaken for being alone or, being alone, not lonely. And that, right in the heart, any person who's different understands how that feels and how it feels to be alone, to feel alone because no one gets you. That's part of what I related to with Elio for sure.
Yeah, and while I recognize that sort of thing, I don't really ever feel that.
Wow.
And I've considered myself very lucky. I don't, I guess I take that for granted because I don't. And I've always been comfortable. When I have been alone, I haven't been lonely.
Right.
I'm just very comfortable being by myself in the times of my life where I have been.
Right.
So
but it's not actually about being alone. It's feeling alone.
True.
Because you're different. Yeah. So now I'm going to get to the real big spoiler because I am talking about the end of the movie.
Yes.
So if you don't want to know how this ends, again, skip this segment because I have to talk about this part because this is why my rating is going to be lower than it would have been because I really disagree with the ending. Okay, you've been warned. Here we go.
Move along.
Elio, when he is abducted by these aliens, he finds a friend. He finds this entire community, actually. They actually understand him. And by the end and what they've gone through, that's even greater. So his aunt, he went back to Earth. He had to come back to the alien place with his friend to save his life. And the aliens give him this honor that says he can stay with them. And he's jumping in the middle of them and they're all happy and they're all wonderful. And I'm looking at that scene as he's found his people. And his aunt is also watching this and it's in slow-mo and I'm thinking she's looking at him saying he's found his people. Elio turns and sees the sad look on his aunt and he tells the aliens that he can't stay with them. He needs to go back to Earth to give it a try or something. And he says to his aunt, you're my family, I'm coming with you. I disagree with all of that. I think everyone needs to find their people, and a lot of times your people is not your family. And I think a chosen family, your friends, your spouses, your partners, children you've chosen, whatever it is, whoever you choose, you've chosen. And a lot of times that's not your biological family. And so I feel like they're forcing that among us in this movie. And for people who might have disconnected families or not great relationships, it just makes people feel bad about themselves because they're sitting there going, I would have stayed with the aliens. I would have stayed with the people who got me, who accepted me, who, took me in and didn't question it.
Yeah.
And so I had a problem with that. And I do think that I wanted it to keep changing. I kept expecting the aunt to recognize he belonged there and that they would stay with them.
Yeah.
And they didn't, and that bothers me.
Well, and you said they just now, and that's what I was thinking was that he was going to see her, and she didn't really have much going on Earth either. So I kind of expected her to, to say, well, can I stay too? And they would have stayed.
Right.
But no, they went the other way with it. And I coined the term, well, I don't know if I coined the term, but I said it after we talked about this, that it was the reverse Spielberg, from Close Encounters when Roy Neary leaves his family.
Right.
And that was so controversial. We kind of thought this would have been going with your family.
And maybe that's why we expected that, because we're groomed that leaving your family behind is okay.
Yeah, so in this particular movie, in this setting, it just seemed like the obvious choice was for the two of them to stay in outer space with the aliens.
Yeah, I just feel like that was a happy place.
Well, it would have been happier
and Earth sucks.
Yeah. He's going to give it a chance for no particular reason. Right.
Well, exactly. When no one was giving him a chance. Why? Who deserves it?
Things are going to be better.
No one deserves it. So, my final thoughts are just comparing it to other Pixar movies. This falls in line to me with like Luca, which isn't a favorite. But it's becoming like when I first saw Luca, I kind of felt this way too. Like, oh, I'm probably not going to watch that. Now I've rewatched it a few times, and it's like, oh, that's enjoyable. But it's not the tear out my soul kind of movie like Onward, Inside Out, Soul, Elemental.
Yeah.
Like it's cute. Probably kids get a lot more out of this one than adults. Even though, again, I can relate with Elio, it just that middle part, man, I'm still like, I love the beginning. I liked some emotion at the end, but again, I didn't like the way it ended. The middle part for me is like, I can do without it. It doesn't make a difference to me. So
It almost tried to be too many different things in the middle.
yeah, something like that. So, okay. Do you have anything on how it rates on your Pixar meter?
Oh, on my Pixar meter, it's definitely in the back half.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put it. I can't think of a movie I liked less, I guess.
Oh,
There's a bunch of them.
He hasn't seen a lot.
I haven't seen all the Pixar movies, so don't come for me. But I don't know that I would put it very high. I think I looked at a list after when we were talking in the car, and I think there's 28 or 29 Pixar movies now.
I don't know.
And I would put this probably somewhere in the mid to early 20s.
To me, it's kind of like a Luca, Lightyear, Elio. They're all on the same plane. So if you've seen those, I think that kind of probably will make sense to you.
Yeah.
I hope.
Okay.
Okay, so your rating.
Yeah, we were going back and forth about this. I think I wanted to like it more than I liked it. So I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm giving it a 6 as well.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, as far as good stuff, there's a lot of good stuff here. But it's mostly the technical things that are really good.
Yeah.
That kind of story, whole thing, that's where it started ticking down for me.
Yeah.
So,
and here's the problem for me, for Pixar, is Pixar has set the bar pretty high for themselves.
yeah.
They had a lot of our favorite movies kind of in a long stretch there. And, this just didn't hit like those.
Right.
So
Even their shorts. I mean, in 5 minutes, Pixar can have me bawling with a short. So this did not. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was so personal to me that's why I'm so upset by the ending.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe you related so much.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, that middle part, it's too much in the middle that I just felt like was extra stuff. And I get that they have to do something. But it just didn't work. It didn't work entirely for me. So lots of good stuff. This other stuff feels very personal to us. So maybe other people won't have the same feeling. So I think, it's Pixar. It's still worth checking out for yourself. We're giving it a 6 for maybe our own reasons. But it's Pixar. And if you love Pixar or not. So it's up to you to go see.
It's a fine movie. If you see it, you're probably not going to be disappointed. But it's not going to be your favorite.
I think kids will really like it because it is an adventure. It's a kid on an adventure.
Well,
that's a lot of fun.
There's a lot of things going on the screen and a lot of weird-looking characters.
Well, I can imagine because I loved space when I was a kid, and I think seeing this at 8, 9 years old would have been cool. It's just. I had Space Camp, the movie, and they get this. So I think kids will have fun with it, but it's a little bit harder for the adults to get through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So that's Elio. Would love to hear from you guys. One, if you're going to see Elio, and second, what is your favorite Pixar movie?
Yeah.
What's yours?
I'm gonna say it's still Wall-E.
Okay.
Wall-E, Coco, I mean, they're neck and neck, and Elemental is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Elemental is very personal to us.
Yeah,
because
it's very much our love story.
That's us.
Yeah, we don't mix. No, Elemental is now Elemental is now my favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah.
It just eked out Inside Out over this last year or so. So those are my top 2 Pixars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, Inside Out is right there.
Onward's up there.
Incredibles, the first one. I mean, there's a lot of them.
They're all so
Yeah.
good, but that's where we're going. So now you know.
Yeah.
If you're like a huge Luca fan, well then you're gonna love Elio.
Yeah,
So
this
it's
won't
all
be
good.
one of Pixar's classics, but it's still a good watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Please like this video. Would love for you to subscribe. We've got lots more coming out, especially tomorrow is the Jaws 50th anniversary. We have a video coming out first thing in the morning.
Yep.
And Saturday we are ranking Steven Spielberg's top 10 favorite Steven Spielberg movies. So lots coming out. Please subscribe. And that's it. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.